So, last year I made a video about this weird little swashbuckling simulator called Hellish Quart, and it kind of blew up. Anyway, with the game now in early access, I felt it'd be only fair to go back and, check how things are shaping up. Yep, I think we're there. Hellish Quart pulls off something that a lot of us who hadn't really clicked with the mainstream scene of combo-focused fighting games have been waiting for, well, since Clang fell apart in late 2014. RIP. Instead of mastering frame traps and cherry taps, you're considering the tempo of your back and forth, how best to slip past or batter through your opponent's guard or to punish their overconfidence. While so many fighting games focus on the intensity and the spectacle of the action itself, Kobold has gone for an experience that instead has you relishing the simple dance of footwork and blade, and it works. It just works. Alright, that's a shit argument. Okay, let's get into the specifics. Right out the gate, the current build contains a roster of 5 playable characters, with 2 more actively in development and 4 more scheduled for production if possible. Barabash, Jacek and Gedeon all focus on Hellish Quart's bread and butter, the Polish sabre, while the 2 latest additions, Isabella and Marie, bring the longsword and the rapier to the table. Yes, there are women in the game. Yes, there are people already angrily shitting themselves on the Steam forums about it. Just, you know what? Fuck it, you're getting a history lesson. Julie de Aubigny, aka Mademoiselle Maupin, or La Maupin for short, was a 17th century opera singer, duelist, and bisexual icon who, amongst her many, many escapades, wounded or killed at least 10 men in duels, used the body of a dead nun to fake the death of her then-girlfriend before setting the room on fire, and generally got into so much ludicrous bullshit that she was formally pardoned by the King of France twice, all before dying at the age of 33. So, the next time someone gets mad that there's a lady swinging a sword, maybe they should do a little bit of basic fucking research. Or just shut up. Just shut up and go away. Yeah, let's go with that one. Alright, rant over, let's get back to the game. The control scheme is straightforward and easy enough to pick up. Simply 2 high attacks, 2 low, an optional long guard stance, and some contextual close-range punching and grappling. Rather than demanding the player memorise lengthy combinations of inputs, however, Hellish Quart instead takes those core moves and expands them through the use of footwork, with each swing evolving as you sidestep, lunge, or dash back to avoid an incoming cut. What really cements this is the lethality, or at least the realism of the combat itself. Duels to the death, despite what you may have thought, are pretty rare at the time, with most duels being instead to the first blood. As such, most fights are resolved by one good cut, a rewarding yet punishing balance that encourages fighting smarter, not harder. Simply sprinting into close quarters is a good way to catch a blade to the face, as is spamming attacks constantly, as the exertion gradually slows you down and leaves you vulnerable to counterattack. This limiting of the straight-up slog of combat isn't mandatory, however, as much as the goons on the game's Steam forum would love to complain. The stiffness of the physics can be dialed back to the more arcade-like, or drunken extremes, as can the damage. If you want to go from one-and-done first blood matches to absolutely farcical Tarantino-esque bloodbaths, where each fighter winds up looking like they lost a fight with a bacon slicer, they've got you covered. Speaking of the gore, Hellish Quart doesn't shy away from the effects of cutting into a motherfucker with 3 feet of razor-edge steel, but it's seldom excessive to the point of absurdity. The bloodshed can be completely turned off if you prefer, but then you'd miss out on the joy of taking your opponent's hand clean off in one swing. It's even possible to take down your opponent with a straight-up finishing move while in close quarters, though it's easily stopped if your opponent sees it coming, so there's enough theatricality to the violence to retain the spectacle without becoming needlessly gruesome or ruining the intended balance of the game itself. While not featured in the current build at the time of writing, there is also a story mode in the works, which, well,
Look. Jesus, Mary! It's him! The infamous! The bandit!
There are just 2 of them. There's a reward.
All right. You have your pistol? You're coming with us. Or we can shoot you right here. No difference to me.
My brothers, you must have mistaken me for someone else.
I'd honestly rather the game just went with Polish or regional languages rather than try to focus on English, but maybe that's just me. I'm personally hyped for the story itself, since it's being written by best-selling Polish author Jacek Kamuda, an author and historian with a good track record in this setting, including writing Ziki Pola, an RPG system centered around the game's key themes of nobility, betrayal, intrigue, and badass dueling. Better yet, although Kamuda's work hasn't been translated out of Polish yet, he's going to be writing a short story to introduce the setting of Hellish Quart in English, which is just a straight-up fucking Chad move. I mean, look at the guy! Fuck yeah. It's clear that Hellish Quart means more to Kubald than just making a game because they had a neat idea. It's a vertical slice of Polish history brought into the present day, warts and all, for the purpose of getting us as close as we'll ever get to stabbing someone in the face. At least I really hope so. The way the current situation's going in the UK, I'm giving it 3 months before we're going back to a feudal city-state. So, can I recommend Hellish Quart? I mean, it's early access. I love it, but I'm putting up with the kind of jank that I'm expecting to be there. The AI isn't too complex at the moment, and sometimes bugs out entirely, though this is something actively being worked on by the dev. The combat physics are still a bit wonky, leading to some rather spectacular spaghetti limb moments, and there's still a long way to go in terms of fully fleshing out the movesets for the newer characters, but everything I've just mentioned is already laid out on the roadmap for future development to be corrected and improved. There are also some bugs that I really can't bring myself to even kind of get mad at. Sometimes a game fucks up in such a wonderfully weird way you just kind of feel happy to have seen it happen.
Friendship.
At the moment, you can play Hellish Quart via Parsec or Steam Remote Play, meaning remote multiplayer is possible, but the lack of dedicated servers is an understandable limitation. Local multiplayer is already in place. You know, if you have someone near you that you can play with. Generally though, I feel like Kubald has done a fantastic job with Hellish Quart, balancing realism with accessible mechanics, all the while managing to stay as faithful to the tone and history of the source material, without becoming impenetrable in the process. Hellish Quart is on Steam Early Access for £14-ish at the moment, closer to 11 as an early bird special. If you're on the fence, the demo is still available to try out, or, you can just get a mate who's already bought a copy to host a session. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you very much for having a, quick check-up and seeing how this game is doing. I'm enjoying it immensely, even though I'm not fantastic at it, but, I enjoy myself, and please do not take this footage here as an indication of my skill. That's like 10% of it. A lot of it is me just walking forward and getting stabbed in the face, but, I'm learning. Anyway, thanks very much for checking this out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, look after yourselves, be good people, and, fuck off!